Welcome to my channel. So I'm going to try to, I try to put in a lot of information into my videos. Instead of putting out a bunch of like videos constantly, I try to put in what's important, right? Like quality over quantity. So this video is another one where I am going to try to emphasize some of the learnings over the past month, what I've been thinking about, where you can make money, or just topics that you should be aware of as an investor, crypto investor, someone who's interested in crypto, or someone who's interested in AI or technology. The point of this video is I'm going to give you where the opportunity is and just some general thoughts on what's happening with AI, my personal speculations with what's happening with AI, and some of the things that are happening with that. So, and excuse me, by the way, I'm sick, so try to ignore me if I cough or anything like that, whatever. So I'm going to try to just get to it. All right, so for those who are only interested in money and just want the bottom line, these are the crypto projects that I'm interested in, or the ones that I think that are relevant are the Near protocol, Fetch AI. This is going to morph into ASI. And, it's got these three mergers, Fetch AI, Ocean, and Ajax, but it's going to make the ASI, and you can buy Fetch AI token right now, and it's a one-to-one relationship for that. So, and you can buy these, and the relationship is 0.43, so you can get either any one of these tokens. They're all priced equally right now, roughly on the market, but if you want to get ASI token, you would go that route. Also, Near, the reason why Near is on my radar, it's one of my tokens. I hold this one. It has a major founder associated with the Attention All You Need paper. This is something I'm going to talk about in this video, related to transformers and why we're seeing these huge breakthroughs in AI. He was actually one of the authors of that paper. So Near has founders that are directly tied to the huge breakthroughs in computing architecture that we are seeing right now. So that's why look, anyone who, one of the things I see all the time, just to put this out there, is I see people criticizing the crypto space and saying that Bitcoin's all that matters and stuff like that. Or, look, guys, the top people in the world are using cryptocurrency projects to architecture their speculative viewpoints on computing in the future of the world and where AI and computing goes. It is as clear as day that crypto is going to eat the world, and there's a huge opportunity here. The market's been boring. Right now it's been this negative atmosphere, but for about 2.5 years, we're in a market that's generally boring. But you have the people, the leading people in the world, Sam Altman, Ilya, Polo Skin, sorry if I slaughtered that name. You have these people in the number one people in the world, in the number one thing that's happening to humanity in the crypto space. Please stop relying on yourself. This is a message to you people out there who are saying that all of crypto is a scam. Stop, you're not smarter than these people. Sorry, you're not. These are the smartest people in the world, and they all are launching crypto projects. It is clear as day to anyone who is using your brain that this is where the greatest opportunity in the world is. So please just understand that, even though the market's been boring, and even though every single thing that you're seeing in the crypto space right now has been negative, this is not always going to be the case. Someday crypto is going to run again, and it's going to be wild, and there's going to be, memes and stupid stuff like that. But for the legitimate investors, one day in the future, these type of projects like Near and Fetch are going to run, and they're going to make people a lot of money. And it's for the people who are patient and who are buying now during the boring market. So if you're interested in making money, Fetch AI, Near protocol, Hypercycle, Tau, and Cubic. These are the ones that I've isolated. If you hold an index to all of these, you might do pretty well. That's my speculation. Who knows? Maybe a new architecture will come along, and, some of the greatest people in the world will be wrong. Who knows? It's always possible. It's always a gamble. But this is where I would place my bets. I've been wrong in the past, so don't just follow me. You got to have your own convictions. And if you're not going to hold it for the long run, don't bother. You're not going to make money doing that. The only thing you can do is buy some of these tokens, set them to the side, forget them for 2 to 3 years, and trust me, I think the odds are there. It doesn't mean it's going to be, if you're rolling the dice over that period, it's one of the best rolls of the dice that there is. That's my opinion regarding those who just want to make money. So that's to summarize Fetch AI, Near Protocol, Hypercycle Tau, and Cubic are the ones I think are interesting from an ROI perspective, ROI risk reward. I think the one that's most likely to deliver, I'd numbered them here, is Near Protocol is number 1, Fetch AI is number 2, number 3 is Tau, number 4 is Hypercycle, and number 5 Cubic. Okay, so that's for the moneymakers. Also, for the moneymakers, sorry, I'm just, really sick right now. Raw Paul made this excellent banana analogy. This is where we are right here, guys, in the crypto cycle. We're about to go crazy. Now, of course, it's possible that the market won't do this. It's entirely possible that this time it's different, quote unquote. I never like to really bet on this time is different, but there's a lot of people saying that the altcoins are going to die, that Bitcoin's the only one that's going to run. If you believe that to be the case, then you believe the smartest people in the world, some of the smartest people in the world that are making these cryptocurrency projects in the AI field, and they're in the other fields as well, you're saying they're wrong, and you're saying you're smarter than them. Go ahead and take that position and see how it turns out for you. I think Bitcoin will be fine. So go ahead, think everybody's stupid and invest in Bitcoin and just make your 3x over the next 5 years. That you're going to do pretty good with that 3x. But the smartest people in the world being in the altcoins, there's a reason for that. And there's also a reason the government is attacking very hard right now. The government, at the time making of this video, during the time that we're here, we've been sitting at a negative market for about 6 months, as well as not really doing much for, it went nothing but down for like 2 years. And then, it had this quick little run, gave a little optimism, but it's been down for like 6 months again. And also, not only did it come down again, but the government is attacking it hardcore style, from every angle. The SEC is attacking it from all these angles. Why do you think they're doing this? It's because they know they have to pivot, that Fed has to drop rates, things have to change back to the cash liquidity market where they inject liquidity in the market to get optimism in return, and they don't want it to go into crypto. But guess what? The government often fails at these kind of efforts. This is going to eat the world. It's going to eat all the industry. It's going to be the greatest opportunity that there is. I agree with Raw Paul's take on this. He's got a background in central banking or in banking as well. I agree with his take. Maybe we're wrong. Don't like I said, this is just my opinion, but I think that we are in the greatest opportunity for making wealth that exists, especially right now when the market's been boring and it's painful and it's been that way for a long time. If you just buy some of these projects that look like they're legitimate business models with legitimate actors behind them, you have an index of those, I think you're going to do quite well. I think we're before the banana phase, the fun phase. This is where the fun starts. This is where it gets exciting. This is where crypto actually is enjoyable to be a part of it. 90% of the time, crypto's pain and suffering, but there is that 10% period where it's the best ride of your life. It's like that, like that time when you meet that beautiful woman that you have some short period of your life with, that's been like the one that you always think about. It's like that period of time is like the time we're entering with crypto, where it's that short little period of time where you have the best ride of your life. And, I think that's where we're about to have. You're about to meet her. You're about to see how it goes. You're about to have that fun little experience of your life. And, who knows? All right, so that's for the moneymakers, right? The people who want to see the fun start soon. That's where we're at. I think that we're in this banana phase. I agree with Raw Paul. If you understand, if you really think about this stuff, you would have to be excited. I mean, as a technology standpoint. Now, I'm going to say that I've been under the weather. I've been sick, so I've been in this doom and gloom loop for being sick. But from a technology standpoint, I'm really excited. I'm also scared. There's a lot of things to be afraid of. There's a lot of things to be excited for. I got asked the question the other day, do you think AI is going to be good for humanity? I really don't know yet. This might be the end of us. It might be the greatest thing that ever happens. It's got quite a window there. It could be the greatest thing that ever happened. It could be the worst thing that ever happens. Just like the nuclear bomb, this technology is more powerful than the nuclear bomb. All right, so I'm going to get more into the tech side of things. So for the people who just want to make quick money, they want to just know the important stuff, these are the projects I picked: Near, Fetch, Hypercycle Tau, and Cubic in the order that is listed here. And also, I think we're about to see banana time. We're about to see monkey gets the banana, monkey gets the fun. Monkey screams in groups and runs around ape strong together, running around, screaming monkey sounds, making lots of money, making lots of fruit. I think that's about to happen. I think the fun part's about to happen. It's entirely possible I'm wrong. Just do risk what you can. Sorry for the coughing. And, have fun with it. All right, so that's the end for the moneymaker. Now, for the people who are interested in some other aspects, like a higher order of magnitude of what's going on here, in like why we're seeing AI take over, why we're seeing, like AI as a compute model just absolutely eat everything and about to change all of society. I'll get into that right now. So the human brain is about 400 trillion parameters, right? And so this is just basically the neurons, it's if you were to model it in software, it's basically just a matrix of a large amount of relationships, functional relationships and or number relationships, and these relationships based on some amount of information coming in. It runs through all those relationships, which is your brain, but then it has an output, and that output, it can be multiple numbers, multiple functions as well. So you have some things going in, functions, numbers, data, and then it can be modeled as numbers and data. So you have numbers and data functions going in, a huge network of relationships that processes it, and then you have some numbers and things that are spit out. Basically what a computer is. So human brain is 400 trillion. Where we are right now with these models is around 2 trillion. So guess what? We're really starting to see numbers that actually are comparable or just appear on the radar. We're almost hitting that 1%. And if you know how logarithmics work, 1% means you're 50% done. Like, we're almost there to AGI. AGI is practically here. It's at our doorstep. This is the last time human beings will be alone without some other form of intelligence on the planet. We are about to have the alien spaceship come down and land and start talking to us. And that not only is it going to start talking to us, but it's going to start superseding us. In fact, it already has in many tasks, like it already has shown, that these current little beginnings are already smarter than 90% of human beings. So that's what the data shows. So you can, take it or leave it. Now, 7 more doublings at the current rate of progress, which is between 6 and 2 years, 6 months and 2 years for a doubling, leads to the window for everything absolutely, everything changing from the short time horizon of 2030 to a long time horizon of 2038. So in that window, the computers have as much intelligence as humans in a parameter aspect, but in reality, that is it's probably going to be far more impactful before this window. So it's happening. We're going through the singularity right now. I don't know why Ray Kurzweil thinks the singularity is like 2049 or 2040. It looks like it's happening right now, in my opinion, because AI, at this level, reaching the amount of change. I mean, our lives are largely the same as, nothing has really changed except for since the iPhone. Everything's roughly the same. So I guess that's what the singularity kind of represents, is when things will actually change for the average person. And nothing's really changed since 2008 when the iPhone came out. That was the last big societal change. Obviously, there's things happening in labs like AlphaFold 3, which is allowing us to do from a biological standpoint, that's going to equal some kind of progress. Massive amounts of progress. But it's all in labs right now. It hasn't really impacted the world quite yet. But even with these kind of $2 trillion parameter architecture, you can start. If you have enough data, you can get a driving module, you can get a math module, you can get a walking module, sensitivity, sensing the world module, and then you could have something like an LLM, or right now it's multimodal, which is what ChatGPT 4.0 is multimodal, and you could have something like this govern other models, right? So would you consider this, if you just simply take these models, would you sum them all together and say it's a 12 trillion model, which would be 12% of the human brain, or what? Or 3% or whatever. Would you consider it the would you consider that, the human brain isn't all being run at one time? It has some substructures that are operating. So is it really this window, or is it going to happen much sooner that AI really wakes up? And it looks like AI is waking up now at 2 trillion. So all I have to say is brace for impact. So what is Transformers? This is why we're seeing these huge change in computing and these huge breakthroughs. First of all, attention all you need is like a paper a paper that came out recently that helped understand the architecture for these AI models with Transformers, and he works at NEAR. He works in the NEAR protocol, so a little emphasis on that. That's why I put it as the #1 project to invest in regarding AI. But these Transformers, what are they? They basically, think of a matrix, like a lot of numbers and relationships, and then you think of them, each one of these points can be a whole set of matrices, right? Each one of these matrices can be a set of another whole bunch of matrices. Basically, each number gets a vector, which is 200, roughly 200 right now, numbers. And these 200 numbers, change. This could be an individual word in a sentence, right? And it has over 200 parameters, which are all reflected on some other 200 set of parameters, right? So this is where you're getting, these are just matrices that are related to other matrices, and they're trained on the real world. So it's got all these numbers, you got to input, and it trains, some process trains all these relationships, these matrices relating to other matrices for any given number. And it started giving context as some of those parameters. So any given number will have a bunch of, you can imagine any number having over 200 dimensions. Like right now, you think of the world in 3-dimensional, but then you think of like love, or you think of color, like the color green. That would be 1 dimension, right? From 0 to 1 being super green to 0 being no green. And blue being, so you could even think of color as being a dimension, right? You could think of time as a dimension. You could think of the x-axis, the y-axis, and the z-axis as each being a dimension. So that's where that 200 dimensions comes from in an individual vector. So that's what's happening here. Each piece of information is given a really large vector, and that vector is multidimensional. And then that characteristics of that multidimensional vector are there's some of those are related to quote unquote attention, and that attention is where these transformers were formed. Is basically taking context clues, context relationship, such as position in the sentence, position in a relative position in its attention window, the words that are surrounding the word. So all of these things are put in through a model that trains all these relationships. That you form a complex web of interrelationships that are up to 2 trillion parameters, right? 2 trillion, 2 trillion parameters. Whereas our brain is 200 or 400 trillion. The ones that we're at now is 2 trillion. So that's where you can get these huge numbers and what they mean and this huge web. So it shows that, with computing at 0.5%, we're already getting huge results. It's only a matter of time before we have computing architectures that are as big as many parameters and in many different architectures as a human brain. So it's going to happen. I don't know why anyone would doubt that this stuff, with what little we have right now with our 2 trillion, our little leads right now. Sure, there was this huge period of time from the 1950s to roughly the 2020s where it was the AI winter, and we didn't have the reason that we didn't see much progress then was because computing model, we didn't have the hardware, we didn't have the GPUs to train, we didn't have these architectures from the hardware standpoint, but now we do, and now we're seeing progress, and now it's the horses are off to the races. We've got this, we've got all these clues, and we're spilling into a new reality. So what happens here with these, these transformers is with these AI models? Basically, it takes a lot of power, and you have you have these huge matrices, large amount of matrices, 2 trillion parameters, and you have some model that formulates and trains these models. And what they do is they take in the world of information, into the model. It predicts what will be the output, and then it compares that to the world. So it takes in the world, and it predicts what will be next, and it compares that to the world. It looks at the results, and it does, and then it changes the model. It modifies the model to better and better fit the world. So it literally predicts the world, and that's kind of the way our brains work. Like the way a little baby grows up, a baby is watching the world, his little neural network's working, and what he does is he starts predicting what will come next. Believe it or not, that's what I'm even doing here by talking to you, by talking right now. My behavior, being a passionate person about technology and trying to, just put out information that I think is useful, is partially a part of who I am, leading to a probability of me spitting out this information. From all the inputs that I had in my life have led me to be a probabilistic position where I am now to spit out the words that, I am a neural network of probability outputs that's at 400 trillion parameters. And here I am, spitting out a string of information based on the settings, the preset settings, plus, my background, leading to, this being a probabilistic output. That's all things are probability. And it's kind of interesting that even math and knowledge and maybe I'm being too, broad here, but, I don't want to encompass too much of reality into this architecture, but this is how it works. It predicts, and then it compares, and then you get results, and it trains, and it tries to get to predicting reality the best it can. And that actually, who knows, actually pretty amazing, leads to something that looks and acts like a human. So these models, they're right now, that 2 trillion parameters is about 500 gigabytes in size. So that's what we needed. We needed, first of all, it took a lot of power. This is where, they spend, right now, they spend $100 million on training this. 500 gigabytes is not that big if you think about something that took $100 million to make, right? 500 gigabytes sits on any old laptop that we have today. It take up all the memory on the laptop because they're roughly about 500 gigabytes. But, it took $100 million of energy to train. So that's intensive computing right there to train this model. And then, obviously we're going to train and make a bunch of models, like one for self-driving, one that manages robots to walking, the relationship between a robot's body and its walking and its body. So that's a model. So you need data for all these things. You need lots of power to train these things, and that's where we're going to be. Lots of demand for energy. Energy is going to be a good investment because we're going to be constantly wanting to train new models. But once they're trained, it doesn't take any energy after that to run it, really. It's just, this model, you can run this on your computer. It takes almost no energy at all after it's trained. But training models is going to be important, and we're going to be doing a lot of that, a lot of training, a lot of energy needed to train these models. Now, once you have this model, once you have this 500 gigabyte model, you can make several instances of it. So it exists here on these different servers, and you put users in the different groups, and they interact with each one of these. Now, I'd imagine someday we're going to have our own little model that, it might have one user. If you've seen the movie Her, it might be 6,000 users, it might be 1,000 users, it might be 100. But it'll know you personally. So this little model will be personal to you. It'll be important that you can carry it or carry your relationship with an individual instance of a model in the future. I believe that will be the case where it'll take your data, all of your interactions, and keep it in its memory so that this relationship becomes personal. And in reality, I think that human beings will have relationships with their computers in the future. I don't even think this is far-fetched anymore. All it's going to take is some data set that is relevant to you, and then the computer will get to know you, quote unquote, and every interaction you have with it will be part of its memory. And this might get upgraded to a new model, like they might make a new one, but it'll take your data and add it to it. And so it kind of carries, even though this gets smarter, it'll take with it all of your interactions. I think at some point this will happen. It hasn't happened yet. We haven't really got models that are keeping all memory of every interaction you personally have and get to know you, but that will be the case. And so I think where instances will be in certain user groups, that's where you're going to have your personal AI and it'll carry across. So that will be a service in the future. So, once they make a model, they're going to have to create instances and then track which users are part of which one. And that individual instance will keep records of its users so that it has a personal relationship. That's where we're going next. In order to keep this short, I didn't want to get into agents too much, but agents would basically be like these things set free in the wild. And maybe you have different transformers doing different things, and then you have a manager transformer model. So this could be 2 trillion, and then these little subcomponents could be, 2 trillion each, or whatever the sizes are just arbitrary here. But you'll have a manager, it'll do all these things, it'll interact with the world. It'll run off, like you might have this agent and it'll interact with the world, but its relationships to other things might be a whole another AI model that merges with this or interacts with it that helps it manage its activities in the world. That's like an AI agent. AI agents is the next big thing. Like I said, this computing, we're seeing the whole world change, guys. I'm going to try to end this video so I don't go too long. Obviously, I probably went pretty long already. But these transformers that we're seeing, these huge matrices of roughly 2 trillion parameters, this computing that we're entering is entering on the size of the human brain roughly, and we're getting utility out of the transformers. So that's why we're seeing these huge breakthroughs in this attention mechanism, this architecture mechanism, and we're going to see some more breakthroughs in how these transformers look and how many there are, etc. So we're about to see some more breakthroughs. The next paradigm is obviously agents. That's basically AI operating on its own. All I can say, hopefully by now you can hear the emphasis to my voice. AI is really the biggest narrative in the world right now. It's going to go wild. We're going to see some people get rich out of the AI narrative. We're going to see wild amounts of money, wild amounts of speculation as society fundamentally changes. Also, there's definitely going to be bad things because these AIs are going to be smarter than humans. So what are human beings going to do? I don't know. I don't have the answers. Anyways, if you want to support my content, please subscribe to my Patreon. It's not like it's partially helping me make this content, but it's also I have a mathematics model that kind of places cryptos in correlation to where they are on the performance expectation. Doesn't mean they will. It just means that it runs them through some math, historical context, and tries to find correlations. And obviously I'm going to work on this continuously, but if you join my Patreon or you go through the Intrepid token, you can get access to the community as well as the bot, and it helps support at the very least, it helps support content like this. If you find this content interesting, please like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later.